Alright, I think I'm gonna get started now. Welcome anyone who's watching live. Welcome anyone who's watching the replay on YouTube afterwards. So yeah, pretty much today I'm just gonna be picking up exactly where I left off at the end of the last stream on Thursday, I believe that was. I mentioned at the end of that stream that I was thinking about probably doing some work off camera before the next one started, but I wasn't able to do that. I was just too busy. So yeah, this is exactly how it was left when the last one ended. So I'm working on some of the buildings here in the back of the factory on the back train yard. And this is the building that still needs work done to it. So just for some orientation, if I go up here and I pull the image up that this whole area is based off of, this is basically the angle that, this is the angle that the camera is at. So if you look at the very bottom of that picture in the basically dead center, that sort of backwards L shape looking building, it's really hard to make out in the snow, but that's the best image that we have. That's what this is right here, so that's what is being worked on. And then I'm hoping to today to add in what appears to be some storage tanks in this area. So I want to do that, and then we'll just see how much else gets done today. I have to be done streaming today by about 4 p.m. So I have other obligations at 4 p.m. So I have about an hour and 45 minutes of stream time. Potentially, I might do another stream later today at night. Although that's a big maybe. Shayla Shelton, it looks really good. I like it. Thank you. I appreciate it. Alright, so first thing is first, I need to continue adding in the window bits on this. This is where I left off on Thursday. So it's pretty simple. First, let me turn this down. Since these wall lengths, so this wall length plus this wall length is the total length of that back wall, it'll be very simple. I can just literally, copy the same designs onto the back here. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I just realized I don't even know why I have that hotbar being used. I should be using this one. So yeah, this is a standard window design. I keep them all consistent throughout the whole factory. There are several different designs, probably half a dozen or more window designs that are around the build here. But I always so whenever I'm using one of those designs somewhere else, I always make sure they're identical to how they originally looked the first few times I built them, because I don't want variation. I want it all to be consistent. Oh, forgot to type set. And this shouldn't be a space. There. So this one, for example, is a standard design I have that it's used in multiple other locations, where the roof detail, if I could get it right, oh my goodness, finally, okay, so the roof detail curves in, and then there are 3 windows that go on this span here. So the top window will always starts 2 blocks below, and it's always 2 blocks long, and then down here, let me just go reference this so I make sure I don't mess it up. Yeah. Below this window, there'll be a 2-block gap. And then this really long window here can vary depending on how tall the wall is that I'm putting this in. The only thing that has to stay consistent is that it always ends 2 blocks before the bottom of this section, and then there's 2 blocks that protrude outward. So the window can change, but the spacing remains consistent. And then very simply, I just, I use glass panes for most of the windows across the build. I do use just regular glass in some instances, and then I always back all the windows with gray concrete. so you can't see into the interior, just like in the movie. A lot of people use black concrete. I just think gray looks a little bit better, so that's why I use gray. Okay, now over here I'm just going to do the same thing with these two little detail bits. They're not windows, but you get the idea. There is a possibility when it comes time to add in the storage tanks that go over here. I might have to make a few modifications to this area, but I'll talk about that more when I get to it. Alright, so again, that's just a direct copy of this wall over here. And I just basically am going to be doing that again. The reason I keep coming back to this wall over here is just the easiest way to make sure that I'm lining everything up correctly by following the pattern all the way across the roof. I talk about it in pretty much every stream I do, but I'm a slow builder, so that's why something as simple as this is probably going to extend over the length of 2 whole streams before it's finished. And then I still have, like, if we look at the picture, I still have, gosh, probably like 5 to 7 more of these to make up this backyard area. Hi Angelo, how are you? Something I realized I forgot to do that I actually want to do real quick. I don't have my reference picture up that I like to use. I usually keep it on my monitor beside me, so let me just pull that up real fast. Okay. Makes it a little bit easier for me here. Alright, sorry about that. I knew I was forgetting something when I was setting everything up for this stream. What I like most about this whole area is that I like how this is different from the main building because everything is physically connected together, but because these buildings are all separate, I like all these little pipes and different conveyor belts to connect everything. So I'm looking forward to adding a bunch of that in to all these buildings back here once they eventually get built. Hey Matthew, am I going to be placing the Wonka vans around the town, and am I also going to be adding Wonka's first shop? Yes and yes. In fact, the Wonka vans are actually like pretty high up on my priority list of things I want to add soon, at least to the courtyard area. And yeah, there'll be a few scattered around the town as well. And I am going to be adding in his first shop, as well as Fickle, Gruber, Slugworth, and Prodnose's shops in their correct locations in the town. I just haven't done it yet, but it will be added, yes. Oh, no worries, Star. You haven't been able to be in the streams. It's all good. I mean, I pretty much stream at a very inconsistent interval in time, so I don't really expect people to be able to tune into all of them, you know. Alright, so we can see here that we have the two things copied on the back, the two designs from those walls, and it sort of leaves, I guess, sort of an awkward gap in here. So the spacing is a little bit weird because of this wall, but I don't really care about this, to be honest, because this is going to be at the back of the building, and I think it looks good enough, so I'm not worried about, you know, fixing it. Something I do want to add real quick, though, before I forget, because I know I will, is the snow on the bottom of the windows here. One disadvantage to using the glass panes is I can't put snow here. That would look nice, but I just prefer the window to be actually in this block, acting as almost a frame, as opposed to having it completely recessed one block back, so it's a trade-off I just have to be okay with. I'm not going to do the snow on the roof right now, though. I pretty much always do that at the end, at a later time. These as well. And then also on top of here. Alright. Now I believe I still have to do this little detail bits on the back here, yeah. So I need to pull up the reference image real quick. Okay. So this is where I'm going to need to start making a little bit of changes, I think. So I'm just getting my bearings here with the picture real fast. Okay. So I was incorrect in putting these doors in on this side. The tracks, I know it's going to be hard to tell because I'm looking at this backwards from how that image is oriented, but if I go up here, you can kind of make out that there's supposed to be, it looks like 3 storage tanks placed right about here, and there are actually no visible train tracks that are coming out this way. So that means that these doors shouldn't really be here, and instead the tracks actually come from the back. Not here, so these two will be removed, I think. Yeah. So these two will be removed from here back. So there'll be no doors here. But over on this part, there will be doors of tracks coming in from this way, coming up. So I think that's what I'm going to have to do before I put any windows back there. Because the doors basically determine, you know, where that's going to be. Alright. So I'm just going to go back here and then poke the hole through. And then what is my space between? 3 blocks between, yeah, I remember now. And then, yeah, that one is only 2 blocks. I believe. Yes. Okay. Alright, so 13 blocks tall. I don't really know how I made this mistake when I was working on my last stream. I just completely glossed over the fact I basically built this part of the building like backwards. So, you know, there should be doors here and that wall should be solid. Instead I put doors over there and had this wall solid, so it's easy to fix though. Alright, now put these in. And once again, these are basically little machines that would put down a retractable door that would cover this up and close it. And then whenever the door is open, they just go up into this little box here. Kind of, it's like a roll. It rolls up. Just gonna do this now. This is kind of annoying. Putting these chains in. Let's see. I think I had them on the right side. Yeah, so put them over here. And lastly, to put the mangrove signs on the front. This is basically just supposed to be like a little logo that these doors would have, but because I'm building at a pretty small scale, I obviously don't have the room to actually put the design on here, so these signs will just act as a good representation of it. Yeah. Alright, now that I have those built, I can fill this wall in. And these doors will essentially just be replaced with storage tanks. Up. Those windows can pretty much stay there, I think. That looks fine. It helps break up the flat wall a little bit. Okay, so I think first what I want to do is get rid of these train tracks. Or actually, maybe... No, yeah, I'm just gonna get rid of them. I was thinking I could just use these first and actually just copy and paste them over to there, but I'd rather use a longer piece of track anyway. So I think that probably helps represent it a little bit better of what's going on here. So from this side, the tracks come in this way and then they stop inside the building. And then from this side, they'll come up this way and stop inside the building here. So now that I actually have that correct. So let me make sure I get this right. So okay, so there's a 4 block distance here, and then there's just a 3x4. It'll be right above the tracks. Okay. Happy enough with that. Now, for this part of the wall here, okay, let me pull the picture back up. There's basically nothing down here. At least to my eyes, it just looks like boring flat ground, so... The reason I mention that is because if there were going to be storage tanks here to kind of cover up most of this wall, I probably wouldn't bother putting anything back here. However, since that's just going to be very visible, I should probably put something in. My only thought is what that's going to be. So that's the center. Actually, let me just mark this off. I think I have that right. Yeah, okay. So I'm ignoring this part of the wall for this. So that's what we have to work with, and I'm actually not entirely sure if these are even. Let me make sure they are. Okay, they were. I think what might look good is if I, instead of just doing something in the dead center here, like I've done for basically all the other walls, is instead putting 2 different designs, filling in these spaces, and the center will remain empty. So that's 19, so it's gonna have to be either a 1 wide or a 3 wide, because 5 wide, if this design was 5 blocks wide, it would just look too large for this wall. What I really would like, actually, is to put in a 2 block wide design over here. But I don't think I'm gonna... Well, I obviously can't do that because it would not be symmetrical. But I want to do something a little bit more Yes. Hi, Cooper. Face reveal? No, I don't plan on doing a face reveal. Maybe what I'll actually do is I'll go over here and look. Maybe something like this. If I want to do 3 blocks. Or I could do this, but this would look a little bit too different than the other design I have going over there. So I think I'm going to do this. And I'm just going to have to change the spacing, because I know this height is different than the height I'm working with over here. So I'm going to have to change this a little bit. Have I ever seen the movie Home, the one with aliens and stuff? No, I haven't. I don't think I've... Not even sure if I've ever heard of it. I don't know why I'm doing it this way. I should just use World Edit because I need to make this 3 wide. I think okay, so I'm gonna change that design a little bit. I'm going to do this up here just to match the other ones. So I'm doing like a hybrid of this design on this wall and the design I just looked at on the front of the factory. So instead of it being a 2-block window, then a really long one, I'm going to do small windows in this area. So it's going to be like that, and the one on the bottom like that. And now I'm just going to find the center between these 6. Okay, I was way off. Alright, that's where it should be. So yeah, I think this is gonna look better than basically just copying this design over here. Is that an older movie? Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe I'll check it out. I'm kind of weird. Like, I'm actually not generally a large movie person. I used to be. I just kind of... I usually, I struggle with dedicating like a 2 to 3 hour chunk of time to just sitting there watching something. And I say that fully knowing that I'd probably end up just doing that on YouTube anyway with YouTube videos, but I need to start watching more movies again. Alright, so yeah, I like that. Once again, let me do the snow. Alright, so I'm gonna do a once over of the whole thing here, but I'm pretty happy with this, honestly. I think I'm going to add the rest of the train tracks in here now. No, so I'll have to make these a little bit longer, actually. But it's also a little bit too tall. It's better. And this has to come all the way to the end. But also, and I forgot to do this last time, I need to make sure that these are lined up correctly, and I actually don't think it is. I think I'm gonna have to move it. Okay, no it is. Alright, nice. That makes it my job a little bit easier. I don't even... What is a razzle? Oh, okay. Yeah, I've had those before. I'm not a big fan of them. Alright, now that's an even better picture of what's happening in this building. I probably am just... I'm just gonna extend these tracks to here. It'll make my life easier later. But I don't want it to poke through because then you'd be able to see that when you go through interior parts of the factory, so that wouldn't be good. Alright, that's much better, and then I'm not going to do it today because it's kind of just a tedious process, but I will continue this diagonal piece connected to all of these. You know what, actually, what I think... very hard to tell based off this picture, but so there's either nothing right here or there's a building that connects from this, or it connects to this and then also to here, but I'm leaning towards I think that's nothing, but maybe that's something I'll add in the future as like a little extension to this building to kind of connect this stuff all together. I think the next part that I'm going to start working on is the area directly in front of this part, which, as I've mentioned a few times, has these 3 storage tanks basically right here. And there's like another kind of skinny building and then some smaller buildings up here, as well as more storage tanks, a building, and then 3 more storage tanks. And then that all connects into a larger building in the back. But that's getting a little ahead of myself. First things first, let's do the storage tanks. I know I mentioned it. This is a side tangent. I know I mentioned it last time about potentially putting an interior in here. I don't think I'm going to do that. I think what I'm going to do though, because I actually want the illusion that these doors are open, is I'm probably going to fill in the back with glass, but not fill it in with a block behind it. So that way, like if someone's playing the map and they happen to come back here, they can look into the building, but they just can't go inside of it. So that way I don't have to do a full interior, because of these obstructions with the windows and stuff. It would kind of make that look clunky. So like, if I lit this up in here, I basically have 2 options. Either I leave it in like this, these are the backs of the windows, which looks bad, or I cover the whole thing up and make this wall like 3 blocks thick, but then that covers up part of the track and it would be like right up against the track, which I don't think would look very good either. So my solution to that is I'm going to leave it blank and pretty dark in here and just put glass behind these doors, not inside of it, but behind it, so that way you can't really tell when you walk up to it that it's closed off. So something I think I can do is I should be able to just copy one of my other storage tanks. They're in pretty varied sizes. And I can just copy them over here, and that'll save me time from having to build the entire thing. I can certainly tell that the 3 storage tanks in that picture are all different sizes. So the one closest to the building is narrow and also short. The one in front of it is narrow but tall, and then the one even in front of that is wide and also tall. So I need to get 3 different sizes, so that'll be pretty easy. I mean, I can just pretty much grab this one for the first one of these for the second one, and then one of these ones for the third. So that's what I'm gonna do. Now, in reality, because these tanks are so easy to build, I might actually be wasting time by like copying them and then pasting them all. But I'm gonna be honest, I just really don't feel like building these right now. I'd rather just copy them. So, okay, I didn't get the snow on the top, that's why it looks a little weird. Alright, actually, before I do that, maybe I might need to rethink the sizing of these tanks a little bit. Because from all the way up here, I'm worried that this tank looks a little too small with the size of this building. Okay. Change of plans. The warming candy room. That sounds interesting. Okay, so change of plans. What I'm actually going to do is just grab one size thickness tank. I'm going to grab the large one, and I'm just going to change the height of them instead of worrying about there being a skinny and a large tank. Just because this wall is pretty wide, I made it a little bit wider than the picture on purpose to take up some more room. So if I use one of these really small tanks, it just looks way too small against this big wall. So we're gonna take one of these. Let me think of how tall I need it. Okay, we're gonna grab the shorter of the two. This is a little bit more of an appropriate size, I think. Now I can really play around with it. Let me put this back up so you guys can kind of see how I'm trying to position this. So I can go up top. That's pretty close to the picture, the angle I'm at. Gonna have to come down a little bit though. And actually it'd be easier if I just do it like this. So I really wish I could get a better picture of this area, but none exists to my knowledge. So this one is almost completely up against the wall. But I'm gonna leave, I think, 3 blocks in between. And let's see. is almost, it's pretty much in the dead center here. But I'm going to change that a little bit, and I'm going to put it a little bit off to the side. So I'm going to line it up with that window, and it's going to go down pretty far to the ground. Because this one is visibly shorter than the others. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that, I think. Okay. Now this one is basically right up against it, but just a little bit behind. Basically like that. But I think I'm going to make mine. I'm going to change it a little bit and put it at the center of this wall. Basically like how it's positioned right now. Although, let me see. Maybe one block closer. Yeah, I like that. Alright, now the height. Drop it down a little bit. Not quite as low as this one, but a little bit taller. I think that's pretty good. Now one more in this area. And it is pretty much lined up in the center of this first one. Like that. And then, just like before, it's pretty much right up against this middle one. And then, as far as I can tell, these two are the same height. If you're getting bored, you can do something else. I know the way that I build and what I'm building right now isn't exactly exciting, but it's not for everyone, but this is what it is. Hello, Fiery Fox. So I don't think this is actually here in the picture, but I want to put some pipes in on top. I'm doing pretty good. There's not really going to be cool parts today, unless people have requests on stuff to look at, but we pretty much have done that. All the interesting stuff in the past few streams, I think. But, you know, these streams are pretty much build streams. They're not really, like, not like the videos I make where I'm showing stuff off. Unless people ask for it. Yeah, I am locked in, as the kids say. Oh, that is gonna drive me crazy. Okay. This pipe's gonna be a little different. I'll just make it a little bit taller. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. Alright. Yeah, I finally decided, it was the last stream, I think, that I was going to add some background music in, and then I put some music also for the like pre-stream image, just so there's something going on instead of silence. It also makes it a little bit easier on me, so I feel like I don't have to be talking constantly just to fill the radio silence. Now, if I just feel like there's really nothing to talk about, I can just let the music do the work, you know? And it's probably just definitely a more enjoyable listening experience to have it. So now I have to build a funny little rectangle building. It's very, very small. Basically right up against this back storage tank. Yeah, so to the best that I can tell, this is a pretty short building. What's my usual taste in music? It's a good question. I don't really know if I could give you an answer. I think the only way I could answer that is if I just tell you what I don't like, which is country, not a huge fan of rap of any era. Not really into like that much into rock. I don't know. I guess it's kind of like hip hop, R&B, like synth. I guess you could say pop, but pop is kind of like a tricky term. So I think this building actually has sort of like a curved roof like these ones do. But since it's so small, I'm just gonna, you know, it's gonna be a pretty small one. Probably just gonna do that. Grandma's cookies for giving to your grandkids. It's humorous. You got a favorite song currently? You know, actually right now I kind of don't. I'm going through like a lull where like, you know, like if I'm driving in my car or something, I've like struggled to find something recently that I like want to listen to. Oh, I take that back. There is one song that like I could just listen to on repeat right now, and that is On Melancholy Hill by the Gorillaz. It's just a very pleasing song, like it just sounds good. So I could listen to that on repeat, on loop right now if I had to. But other than that, it's kind of stale right now. I like the bass in it. It has a good bass line, so that's why I like it. I actually, so like I'm not usually super into like pop of the last, I would say 5 years. Like I like pop from like the 2010s and the like the teens, but I like unironically actually have enjoyed Sabrina Carpenter's newest songs, like that have been like played nonstop essentially, at least over here. Played non-stop basically all summer long, and I actually do enjoy them. Okay, now this is really hard to tell, but I think there's like some kind of like diagonal thing that comes down off the side. What about you? What's your music taste? Yeah, so that's probably pretty similar to the stuff I listen to. Like obviously around the holidays, jazz, like I listen to a lot more jazz than basically any other time of year just because jazz is very suited for, Christmas songs. So yeah, I like jazz then. When I was younger, I was really into rock, but not like, it was like, I don't know how universal this term is, but over like here, like whenever we're making fun of, well, I don't want to say making fun of, whenever we're referencing rock from like the 70s or 80s, we call it dad rock. So when I was a bit younger, I was into dad rock, but I'm pretty much not at all anymore. I want to move this up a little bit, I think. Dad rock would be like AC/DC, Aerosmith, like pretty much any rock artist who was popular from the 1970s and beginning to mid 80s. That like over here, like all of our dads would listen to it like when they were kids. So basically it's just old rock that is still played on the radios. Yeah. AC/DC is like the big one. Or Queen. Queen. I'm not a fan of Queen. Steely Dan. Nirvana probably is considered that now. Guns N' Roses is alright. But like stuff like bands like the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, they're like a little bit too old to be considered dad rock. But yeah. I don't know if that's a thing worldwide, but yeah, I don't like some of my friends give me a hard time about it, but I cannot get into Queen, I'm sorry. They have a few good songs that I enjoy. Did I mess this whole thing up? No, I didn't. Okay. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I'm kind of like that. I'm not really like a fan of bands or a certain artist. I'm just a fan of the individual songs. Alright, I'm back. Bohemian Rhapsody and Somebody to Love are works of art to me. Somebody to Love's okay, but I don't really like Bohemian Rhapsody, I'm gonna be honest. Mainly just because over here, it is just played non-stop on the radio. So it would be like impossible not to hear it some days. But it's probably objectively a good song, I just don't like it. Okay, now let's see. Yeah. I'm just gonna copy this. No, I actually didn't watch the movie. Of all those like musician biopics that came out the past few years, the only one I've seen is Elvis. I don't think I've seen any of the others. Let me see how I want that. I think a gap of 3 blocks will look good. Yeah, probably wouldn't really be a good enjoyable for me if I'm not a fan of Queen. I can recognize that they're objectively a good band who make good songs. It's just not my thing. Yeah, that's very similar to me. I really only have one playlist, and it's been stuff that I've been building up since, like, I don't know. I think the playlist I currently have I started in 2017, so what, that's 7 years old at this point. I think I'm going to intentionally not give this building any windows, because to me this would be just some sort of, like, I don't know, utility shed, kind of like a pump house, so it would just be machinery in here. I don't think it needs windows or anything like that, any detail. Alright, let's see. Yeah, pretty much. Although I don't really have any songs in there that are like super out of the ordinary of what I like. So like I pretty much don't listen to any really slow paced songs. Or like sad songs. Pretty much all the ones I listen to are relatively upbeat, sort of fast, and yeah. Because for me, songs aren't so much about the lyrics, it's just about the sound. So, the sound of a really slow song with like one vocal and like just a string guitar, like an acoustic guitar, is like deathly boring to me. So I think I'm actually pretty fortunate. Like my playlist could pretty much play on shuffle, and then I wouldn't really have any that I'm like, oh my god, like that is just killing the mood right now, if you know what I mean. Yeah, Angelo, I saw your video about the red and white thing at the bottom of the elevator ride. And yeah, yours looks good. I don't know if I'm ever going to put that into my build. I might just leave it out, because I think It might just look a little weird how I would plan to build it. Okay, now let's see. Directly connecting to this building is a second building that comes out much closer to the tracks here. And it's pretty much a square, so whatever this is about 4. So that should be a perfect square right there. That's pretty much what it looks like. And this has a flat roof. And it looks like it's maybe a little bit taller than this building. Is the Monsters Inc. song on my playlist too? Honestly, I don't know. This is just I didn't. Are you talking about the playlist it's playing right now, or my own personal playlist? Oh, no. The Monsters Inc. song is not. I don't have actually any songs from any like movie soundtrack that were made for a movie. So like for example, like the songs from this movie, like the Willy Wonka songs, like I don't have any of that in my playlist. Yeah, it's kind of cool jazz, yeah. I mean, this is probably going to be a super hot take, but I actually, in general, don't care for anything Pixar. The only Pixar movie that I really like is Cars 1. Other than that, I'm pretty much, kind of anti-Pixar. I'm going to be real. So it's kind of hard to tell, but it looks like this roof actually has kind of an interesting little design up here where the top is like split into 4 quadrants. So I'm going to do that. That's really not what I wanted. However, my girlfriend likes Pixar a lot. So sometimes we'll watch a Pixar movie together. Yeah, that's understandable. I think I'm gonna do something a little unique here. Now that I finally have something with an even number wall, I can just do some like nice small 2x windows, similar to let me find a good example. Well, I guess these are kind of bad examples. I don't really have a good example of it. Something similar to like this right here. But I kind of like the idea of just them being really high up and kind of small. Maybe one block lower though. Really don't need these anymore. I keep deleting the blocks I actually need just to keep those stupid things. Have I ever listened to Feel It by David? No, I have not. I don't think I've listened to any of his stuff. I'm not really familiar with him, to be honest. Oh, there's a nice airplane going over by. I'm sure everybody can hear that. Helicopter. Let me see, do I like this better just being 2x2? Yeah, I like that more. I gotcha. Yeah, it's just nice to have one of those songs, you know. I guess the one nice thing about all these buildings is because they're so small, I can kind of really get them done quickly. And this isn't really shown that I can tell, but I'm just gonna add a pipe that connects to this tank. Just because I can. Okay, now there's another little building that attaches right here. And this will probably be the last thing I work on today. There is a possibility that I might do another stream later, like I mentioned at the very beginning, but that's a very big maybe and not a certainty at all. But yeah, I might do one later. It just depends how I feel. So this building over here is a little bit taller than this one, but I'm trying to be careful because I don't want it to look too big, because all of these buildings right here should be smaller than like these ones that I'm pointing at. But I think this is good. Have any plans tonight? Nothing like set in stone except At 4 o'clock, my city's football team's game starts at 4 o'clock. And American football games last up to 4 hours, so I'll be doing that pretty much for the rest of the afternoon into the night. We're making some chili right now to go with that. And then, after that, if I feel like doing another stream, I might do another stream, but I don't have really any way of knowing yet. I think that's about right. And then actually, interestingly, this half of this new building is lower down. Pretty much to the height of this, but I'm just gonna make it look a little bit better. I'm gonna go down a little bit lower. So like this. Yeah, it is a fun time. It's like, they're pretty much always on Sundays, only once a week on Sunday. So it's kind of like, if you're like a football fan in the US, your Sunday is kind of dominated by that. What about you? Do you have any plans? Well, I guess for you, your day's kind of closer to being over because you're ahead. So, got anything else going on tonight? Yeah, American football is... It's hard. I mean, it's kind of hard to get into. Alright, and then this wall here. Oh, wrong button. Nice. It's always nice when it's like towards the end of the day and you have nothing else to do and you can just kind of free time to do whatever you want. So it's really hard to tell, but I think there's some pipes that come out and go down to the ground here. You should, because that episode gets better the longer it goes on, episode 3. Let's see, what size do I want this? kind of like bigger pipes, but not as big as some of those. So. But I don't like how. Need to be a little bit closer together. Yeah, in the US, episode 4 comes out at 9 p.m. I'm gonna be honest though, I don't usually watch them on Sundays. I usually don't watch it until like Tuesday, sometimes even Wednesday. Yeah, I'll just say it gets better. It gets more crazy. Go look at some reference real quick, just to make sure. Okay, yeah, that's how I thought I did. Wait, actually, no, it's not gonna be right. Easiest way is just to do it this way. It kind of is, although I'm going to be honest, I'm actually kind of getting tired of it because I've been doing it for 2 or 3 weeks at this point, so I'm looking forward to being done with this and being able to go back inside. But it's probably not going to be for a little while still. And another thing with that is, well, I know Fiery Fox, you know, but a lot of the stuff inside that I'd be working on now is stuff that I can't really show on camera. So that's why I've been able to do so much live streaming lately, is because all this stuff, like, I don't care if anybody sees it now. But a lot of the new rooms that I want to make inside are stuff that I don't want to be seen, so I can't really stream that, so it's kind of a little bit of a pickle on what to do there. So that's probably why when I'm back to mostly doing a lot of inside stuff, the streaming will probably be less frequent, but because I won't be streaming as much, I'll have time to make videos instead. Yeah, I think right now I'm actually leaning towards, instead of starting new ones, is finally renovating some of the old ones, like the really old ones that I've been meaning to do forever. The first one I want to do is the jelly beans, and then Let's see, what else? Don't Mind the Gap is another one. I kind of have to go through the list and mark and look which ones I have marked to get reworked. And then I think after I do some of that, the goal is probably gonna be to start doing the incinerator, the juicing room, and what's the last one? The taffy pooler are probably the next three. I feel like we could probably do some interesting stuff, especially with the incinerator. I have some ideas for that I think we can make it kind of neat. Cool. Yeah, just let me know. I kind of want to go through like the entire build in my own time, and I had a list from like months ago where I wrote down some cool ideas for I feel like some neat things that we could make, you know, in the animation and movement realm of things. I want to go back through that again and see like if there's some other stuff, like some other ideas I have. Yeah, Angela, I saw your video of you putting all your light blocks into the TV room. I did something very similar with mine. Basically my entire TV room, like yours, is covered with light blocks. Do I like that? Yeah, I think I do. Yeah, yeah, you're right about that. That's like the main thing where I think all the future expansion for new stuff is gonna be. I should add the pink corridors from the book. Yeah, that was actually originally the plan when I was making some of them. Gosh, like towards the beginning of the summer. So originally they actually were pink because I wanted it to be like the book, but I eventually decided it didn't really look right with the rest of the build, so I changed it to gray. Yeah, I have some ideas for that area, of some more, like, I don't know how to describe it, like scenic things. But the main thing I want to do is add in that bubble wand machine from the concept art. I want to add that in. And then I'm thinking that elevator track will probably lead to some sort of corridor, but I want it to be different than the other ones I have. So I kind of have some really vague ideas for what I want to do there. Yeah, you're right. I pretty much could. I think my biggest goal is yeah, a whole new world basically. What I want to do is, I think it probably is different for me because I'm on this world so often that it actually feels quite a lot smaller to me just because I'm always in it than it probably realistically does. Because like realistically, I mean this map is huge. I mean all the rooms take up a massive amount of space, and it would probably take over an hour if you wanted to actually go through and look at everything. But like I really wanted to start feeling even larger. So yeah. That's why like some of the brand new rooms that like I want to do, so like not the taffy puller or the juicing room or the incinerator, not really those, because those are kind of already forced into being something. But the rooms that I like still really want to make, like I don't have a problem saying it, like Desert Island. That's not in the build yet, but I want it to be. Like I think that room has the possibility to be like just huge. Very similar to the Land of Chocolate, which I've mentioned that room before. I've just never shown it because I think it'd be better as a grand reveal kind of thing. Am I going to keep updating the factory after I post it? Yeah, I am. On my own time, whenever I feel like it, I'll just keep adding stuff in, and then eventually I want to integrate the create mod to make the thing actually functional, like actually making a product. I think that would be cool. So I know it doesn't look like a ton, but I actually did quite a lot today. The factory's border only goes just a teeny tiny bit forward more, and then that's as far as it goes this way, and then the rest of it is just behind. So we've pretty much reached the outer edge finally of the build, which is essentially right here. But I'm actually gonna have to get going, so yeah. Once again, I'm not sure, but there's a chance I might do another one today. If I don't, though, I probably will sometime Tuesday or Wednesday, probably towards the evening of Tuesday and Wednesday. So yeah, I appreciate everybody watching and commenting today. And yeah, I'll see you guys during the next stream.